Trump just took office as the 47th president of the United States. At the same time, our own prime minister is preparing to step down. What does all this mean for Canada's housing market? Welcome to a new episode of Brick by Brick, Building Wealth Through Real Estate. My name is Nico James-Bock, and I am a broker at LePage Signature Realty in downtown Toronto. I want to take a look at the 7 takeaways to summarize where things stand as of January 25th, 2025. Number 1, the market revival in late 2024. Now, despite economic and political uncertainties, Canada's real estate market rebounded due to lower interest rates, revised mortgage rules, and increased buyer demand. This resulted in a 3.8% year-over-year price increase and moderate quarter-over-quarter growth at 0.5%. Number 2, interest rate trends and affordability. Falling interest rates. We've been in a falling interest rate environment since June 5th, 2024, with potential for a further 100 basis point cut in 2025, are improving affordability. New mortgage rules are aiding younger Canadians and first-time buyers by increasing borrowing power and reducing monthly costs. The third factor that we want to consider when summarizing where things stand are housing prices by type. In the fourth quarter of 2024, the median price of single-family detached homes rose 4.9% year over year to $855,900, while condominium prices increased 1.5% to $592,700. Quarter-over-quarter prices change were minimal. Now, these are national averages. Local regional stats are on my social channels. A recent trend has seen an increase in popularity of townhomes. So that includes freehold townhomes, common elements condo townhomes, and condominium townhomes. So that form factor, that type of housing, has shown an increase in popularity regionally and through most buyer sectors. The fourth takeaway, federal election impacts. A likely spring 2025 federal election following Justin Trudeau's resignation may add to the uncertainty that many of us are feeling. However, housing supply and affordability are expected to remain top priorities, with long-standing underbuilding and population growth worsening the crisis. The fifth takeaway is mortgage policy revisions. New regulations include expanded eligibility for 30-year amortizations, a higher mortgage insurance cap to 1.5 million from the previous 1 million, and removal of the stress test for uninsured borrowers switching lenders, enhancing accessibility and choice for buyers and homeowners. The stress test is still required for new mortgages, but the removal of the stress test for those that are renewing or switching lenders is of great help to those that are feeling the pinch of the higher interest rates. Improved home ownership accessibility. Now, policy changes reduce monthly carrying costs and address affordability barriers, particularly for first-time buyers and those in expensive markets like Toronto, Oakville, Burlington, Aurora, and some parts of on other parts of York region, despite longer amortization periods, potentially leading to higher overall interest costs. It is improving home ownership, however. Uh, Now, the seventh takeaway, the final takeaway from this unprecedented period. The January 29th, 2025 marks the next and first interest rate policy announcement by the Bank of Canada. And at the same time, the Federal Reserve in the US. Donald Trump made the announcement that 25% tariffs will be slapped on Canada and Mexico, 10% tariffs for China, to go into effect on February the 1st. Whether that actually takes place remains to be seen. The Bank of Canada's policy announcement on the 29th of January will deal with domestic issues which are pressing. They will deal with those issues first, and then they will address possible outcomes of any tariffs. If we take a closer look at inflation and unemployment considerations, Dr. Sherry Cooper came out with her analysis of what is taking place. The first important consideration is inflation data for December 2024, which is the most recent time period that we have. CPI increased by 1.8% year over year, slightly below November's 1.9% mark, and that marks a reduction, a fall in the inflation rate. Excluding food, CPI rose by 2.1%. Now, shelter costs did slow, with rent prices increasing at a deceleration rate. 7.1% versus 7.7% in November. And since December 2021, rent prices have risen by 22.1%. A sales tax holiday that we experienced at the start or the midpoint of December 2024 contributed to the downward distortion in inflation numbers. Core inflation concerns. Now, the trimmed mean and median inflation 3-month averages exceeded 3.0%, signaling persistent inflationary pressures. So we're still in that environment where inflation is still a little bit on the higher side. There are pressures that are exerting their influence on the inflation rate. The Bank of Canada's decision, a 25 basis point rate cut, is Sherry's prediction, and as well as other economists, to 3.0% is anticipated at on the 29th, which is just within a few days. Now, due to current inflation environment and broader economic trends, I believe that 25 basis point rate cut is in the bag. I don't think it'll be higher than that. US-Canada trade dynamics is a fourth consideration. Concerns about Trump seeking to renegotiate the USMCA. Canada has denied fentanyl export claims and tightened its borders. Those measures are already taking place. Now, the risk of a 25% tariff is real, but likely short-lived if implemented due to anticipated retaliation. So there is that chance that we will retaliate, or the US believes we will retaliate. So we may not see a long period of a 25% tariff. Speaking of these implications, tariffs might temporarily raise inflation, but would likely lead to layoffs, reduced business activity, and higher unemployment. The Bank of Canada would prioritize recession risks over inflation control in such a scenario. Recession is something that the Bank of Canada really does not want to see us in, so that really would be the priority. Now, this combination of economic factors, including the rate cut expectation, slower CPI growth, and trade uncertainties, paints a nuanced picture for Canada's economy. How do you see this influencing real estate activity in 2025, particularly regarding buyer sentiment and mortgage trends. Keep in mind the 7 factors that influence house prices. They are cost of ownership, job security, population growth, supply, regulatory changes, global factors, and finally, replacement value versus market value. These are unprecedented times, and the first 6 factors are exerting their influence on house prices. So it remains to be seen exactly what will play out after the announcement of the Bank of Canada, as well as what will happen after February 1st. That concludes this episode. There is a summary in the notes, as well as my contact information as usual. As I mentioned before, you can get all of the most recent stats on my social channels. Ciao, ciao.